Hi class, in this video we're going to be talking about powers or exponential forms with a positive base. So a base is pretty much a number that is being multiplied by itself. And the exponent tells you how many times you multiply that number by itself. The power is just used to describe the base and the exponent together. And again, another word for, or another name for power is exponential form. So let's say I go over an example here. An example of something in exponential form could be 2 to the power of 3. And pretty much 2 is my base and 3 is my exponent, and this whole thing is the exponential form or the power. Now, in repeated multiplication or in expanded form, 2 to the power of 3 would simply just be 2 times 2 times 2. And then standard form is simply just my answer. So in this case, what's 2 times 2 times 2? The answer is just simply 8, so I would just write 8. So again, exponential form is when you have the base and the exponent. Repeated multiplication or expanded form is pretty much when you have the multiplication repeated, however many times your exponent tells you to repeat it. And in standard form is simply just the answer. Now let's go over some practice problems when our base is a positive number. So in this case, I have a power or exponential form of 4 squared or 4 to the power of 2. So my base would simply just be 4, and my exponent, as you can see here, is simply just 2. And as a repeated multiplication, I'm simply just multiplying 4 by itself 2 times. So I have 4 times 4. And then my standard form would just be my answer. So 4 times 4 is going to be 16. Now for 2 cubed, or 2 to the power of 3, my base is simply 2, and 3 is my exponent. Now my exponent just tells me how many times I multiply 2 by itself. In this case, since my exponent is 3, I'm going to multiply 2 by itself 3 times. So I'm going to have 2 times 2 times 2. And in this case, as standard form is just my answer. 2 times 2 times 2 is simply going to be 8. Now I have 3 to the power of 4. In this case, my base is going to be 3, and my exponent is going to be 4. So 4 tells me how many times I multiply 3 by itself. In this case, it's 4, right? So that means I multiply 3 by itself 4 times. So I'm going to have 3 times 3 times 3 times 3. And 3 times 3 times 3 times 3 is simply going to be 81. And that's my answer, which is what standard form is. Now I have 10 to the power of 3. My base is simply 10, and my exponent is simply 3. So because the exponent is 3, it means I must multiply 10 by itself 3 times. So 10 times 10 times 10. In this case, the answer would simply be 1,000. Now I have 5 to the power of 3, or 5 cubed. In this case, my base is 5, and my exponent is 3. Since my exponent is 3, that means I'm multiplying 5 by itself 3 times. So I have 5 times 5 times 5, which would just be 125. Now I have 6 cubed. In this case, my base is 6, and my exponent is 3. So I'm simply going to have 6 times 6 times 6, just simply because my exponent is 3, so that means I must multiply 6 by itself 3 times. In this case, 6 times 6 times 6 is simply 216.